Well, the first official UFC weigh-ins of 2021 are in the books, and that means we're just a little over a day away now from the first official event of 2021. It goes down Saturday afternoon in Abu Dhabi on Fight Island. It's a very special one for a multitude of reasons, and we'll be talking about those reasons and a lot more right here on this little special weigh-in wrap-up show, if you will. I'm Ariel Helwani. That's Brett Okamoto. Brett is in the United Arab Emirates as we speak. He's in Abu Dhabi right now. He just attended the weigh-ins. We saw Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar hit the scales. They both made weight 146. For those that may have missed it because it was at like 4 a.m. Eastern time, give us a bit of a recap, Brett, of what went down.
Just what you would hope, really. I mean, Max Holloway wasn't the first guy on the scale, but I want to say he was fourth or fifth, and I was even kind of in touch with his team, prior to the weigh-ins because it was middle of the day over here, so it's not like anybody was still kind of waking up, and they said, not even that I was asking if he was going to be on weight, but they said, we don't even think that's a narrative anymore, and we know that, Max kind of went through that whole thing where, he was pulled from the card and then everybody was sort of concerned about it and watched him over the next few ones. And seemed like he was always just a little bit defensive about standing on that scale, and kind of, making it known. I think he did this at one of them, right. To just say, there's no issues here. And he's right. I mean, the issues have not existed. He never missed weight prior to that incident where he had to be pulled from the card when he was slurring his words, and then he has never missed weight since. So I would agree with him. When I did see him afterwards, he said, I think there's still a chip on his shoulder a little bit. I just don't think he ever liked the narrative that he had this big problem with weight. So I think that's always maybe going to be there, but it's pretty much gone now at this point, right? I mean, he stepped on the scale. It's not an easy cut for sure. I mean, we know that about Max Holloway. He is a big guy. He's a tall featherweight. But he looked comfortable. His energy seemed good to me. And, Calvin was the same. It's also not an easy cut for him. He definitely feels the effects of it. But, I asked him, like, how you feeling, after he had a little bit of chance to rehydrate. And he said he felt good. And sometimes, guys are like, I feel good, and other times they're like, no, I feel good. And I believe them. It seemed genuine. And both guys should be ready to go for Saturday.
Yeah, so like I said, both made weight, both 146. They are the main event. Without a doubt, the biggest fight of Calvin Kattar's career. He has fought in main events, but never against someone like Max Holloway. Max Holloway looking to get back on track after the 2 losses to Alexander Volkanovski. And it's not just a big fight for those two guys because they're in the main event. It's a big fight for everyone on this card because for the very first time in the history of ABC, the American Broadcasting Company, there'll be live MMA action tomorrow afternoon. It's never happened before. In fact, there haven't been any kind of fights on ABC for almost 21 years. ABC, of the 4 big networks, the broadcast networks, has the richest history of combat sports dating back to 1949. Of course, we know about Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali, etc. Are you getting the sense, Brett, that the fighters, from being there, like, is there a buzz because this is ABC, or a lot of them just like, for me, like they're in a cage, like for us, it's exciting, right? But like they're in a cage fighting another human being. Maybe they just don't think about these things or, get up for these things because they're about to go fight.
Exactly. Yeah. I think we've seen this play out, over the last, I think you and I have been covering the sport for what now, 10, 15 years. And there are situations like this where the circumstances are big for the rest of us and they are big for the fighters, but it's not what they're focused on. I mean, Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar aren't thinking about Howard Cosell. They're not thinking about, Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard fighting on ABC in the 70s and 80s. They're thinking about what do I need to do to win this fight? I think that it's going to be one of those things that when they look back on it, hopefully these guys, they don't need to save the VHS tape of it anymore. You'll be able to find it readily whenever you want. But I think it'll be something like later on in their careers, they'll look back on. And, I'm sure that even like you and I and broadcasters will also look back on it and say, this was a big day for mixed martial arts. It was a big day for the partnership between ESPN and MMA. It was just another step in terms of, if we could go back to when ESPN and the UFC first partnered, I think we all saw that that was going to be a very beneficial relationship for both, that because of the way ESPN knows how to cover sports and that ESPN had always wanted to be on that type of platform and be covered in that way. But now this is just another big step of it, and I think that there is going to be something that's both nostalgic and also just very rewarding for a lot of MMA fans to see mixed martial arts on that type of platform in ABC. And I think the fighters someday will appreciate it, but no, it hasn't really been the topic of conversation around the hotel.
Another highlight from the weigh-ins, at least for me, we got to see Santiago Ponzinibbio back. It has been quite some time since he has competed. Still one of the best welterweights in the world, and I loved his face-off, if you will, with Li Zhangliang. They had a pretty cool tribute, I think, sparked by Santiago Ponzinibbio. For those who missed it, what did they do?
Yeah, they held up the obviously Ponzinibbio is from Argentina, and so he brought up a banner of the late great soccer player that the country lost in 2020, and I think Jing Lang's reaction to it was kind of the thing that put it over the top. Is that they unfurled this banner, and you kind of wondered what it was when Ponzinibbio brought it up, and then once he started to pull it out, Jing Lang saw what it was and was thrilled by it, and actually helped him hold it up there. So it was a very cool moment. Everybody that was in attendance were like mentioning, like that was very cool.
Yeah, the late great Diego Maradona, of course, over there calling it football. I don't want everyone to get mad at us. We know it's soccer here in North America, football where you are right now in the United Arab Emirates. Joaquin Buckley returning, bit of a intense stare down as well. Any other highlights from face-offs, prelim fights, anything else? Because again, most of us watch these weigh-ins every week, but this time most of us, at least on this side of the Atlantic Ocean, were fast asleep when it went down.
I think it's the one that you mentioned. I mean, obviously, seeing Carlos Condit and Matt Brown after all these years, when we really wanted to see that fight for so many years, and now actually seeing it, in person, those two are squaring off. That was very, very, very cool. But Joaquin Buckley, man, I mean, he goes out and he gets the viral knockout, and in a situation like that, you wonder, is that going to be sort of, what's he going to do with it now? It's not even necessarily how do you top that moment, because that's a tough moment to top, but what are you going to do with all of that momentum and that newfound attention? And I tell you, this guy, he just, whenever he's in the room, eyeballs just tend to go to him. I think it's his personality, it's his confidence. And he did that again with the stare down today with Alessio, just getting right up in his face. You weren't worried that he was going to start the fight early or anything, but he brings a certain level of intensity with him, and I think he's anxious to, he's already in the process of doing it. But I think as proud as he is of that viral moment, I think he wants to continue to prove that he's more than just that viral moment. So, yeah, I've enjoyed being around Buckley this week because he just keeps things interesting, and he just has a charisma about him that just draws you in.
Yeah, I love that we're getting to see Carlos Condit versus Matt Brown. Finally, they've tried to make this fight. I mean, dating back to the early Fox days, right? I mean, like this fight has kind of been the welterweight version of Khabib and Tony, and finally here we are at the tail end of their respective careers. Though Carlos Condit did look good in his last fight for the most part. It's great that we're going to see them in there in a big spot on ABC in the co-main event. So it's prelims from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN Plus, and then the main card is 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus, or of course the American Broadcasting Company. One fighter that I'm really looking forward to seeing on the prelims is Phil Hawes. What a great performance he had last time out. A guy that I think all of us covering the sport were hearing about for a few years, that he was going to be this breakout star coming out of Jackson Wink, and he was built like a tank and all this stuff. Stumbled a couple times, didn't look like he was going to live up to that hype. And now all of a sudden he has turned the corner and he looks like he's living up to the hype. Are you equally excited for his return as well? He's fighting Nassourdine Imavonov.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been excited to see Phil Hawes fight so many different times in over the last several years, because you just kept asking yourself, you had heard so much about him. He's training down at Jackson Wink originally. And then you heard stories coming out of that camp that this guy was going to be the future of Jackson Wink. He was going to be the future of, the division. And so then, as those stories made it to the UFC, I mean, they gave this kid not only opportunities when he was young and early in his career, but they gave him multiple opportunities, and it just seemed like when he was given those opportunities, obviously he came up short. The Ultimate Fighter, Dana White Contender Series, and you just even when he went to Bellator, it's not like he was setting the world on fire. And so you just started to wonder, maybe was it just either the hype was over exaggerated, or it just wasn't going to turn into something that was really going to make an impact in the sport at the highest level. And man, he's turned that narrative right back around with the especially the last finish that he had. The athleticism has always been there. I mean, that's why everybody was so high on this guy. And I was a little bit surprised actually, that he didn't get a spot on the main card, because typically, you're going to draw all these eyeballs on ABC. I'd be thinking I'd want to draw a lot of eyeballs to Phil Hawes right now, but he's that fight that's right before the main card, and yeah, I'm super excited to see him compete.
One last thing I wanted to ask you about. I mentioned at the top that this is a big deal. ABC first card of 2021. It's also the first event at the Etihad Arena, the brand spanking new Etihad Arena that they were hoping to unveil last year. Of course, the pandemic changed things, and there'll be a limited number of fans. We're hearing they're allowing up to 2,000. We'll see if they get 2,000, of course, for the Conor McGregor fight against Dustin Poirier next weekend. They'll clearly, quote unquote, sell it out. But have you had a chance to see this new arena that everyone speaks so highly of? And if so, what do you make of it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And it's not, sometimes you go to these new arenas, like the one that comes to my mind, I suppose, right off the bat was, when we went to Edmonton, and it's just it's a maze in there, and it's just grand. It's just over the top. It's beautiful. I mean, that arena up there in Edmonton, the name is slipping my mind, but
I think it's Rogers Arena.
Is Rogers Arena in Edmonton. Terrific. Etihad is it's pretty simple when you get inside. I mean, it's not really this complicated maze of hallways backstage. It's super modern. Obviously, it's super clean. Everything's brand new, and it's so interesting to see them opening this arena and having this very very new arena smell around it, and yet they're taping up all of the seats, and they're installing plexiglass so that the people who are down on the seats like closest to the floor, there's a barrier in there between them. It's going to be interesting, man. I really don't know what to expect from it, because I mean, the way I understand it is, even if you come with a group, you still can't even sit with your group. So like, if you and I go together, we can't sit in seats next to each other. We have to sit six seats apart. So like the camaraderie and the excitement level and those types of things that we're accustomed to seeing is going to be a little different. But I feel fortunate that I'm going to be there, and I'm going to, because we've been going to the Apex so many times over 2020, which is just no fans. And so to have them there again, it's I mean, even in this capacity, it's going to be super interesting and welcome. It's going to feel good seeing fans in the arena.
Yeah, tough to open an arena during these times, reminiscent of Inglewood, the Rams and Chargers. They opened this new arena. Las Vegas, of course, the Raiders, new arena, and now we get one over in Abu Dhabi. But I think it will feel bigger. It will look cool on television. I can't wait to see it from, like I said, this side of the ocean. So again, 12 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus, and then main card 3 p.m. Eastern on ABC or ESPN Plus. Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar, massive fight at 145. The winner could be next, especially if it's Kattar and Volkanovski beats Brian Ortega, we suspect, later on this year. That fight will go down. He could get a title shot. If Ortega wins, Max Holloway could get another crack at the belt. High stakes involved. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a great way to kick off these 3 fights coming up in a span of a week. And, of course, it will end with Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. All right, we're out of time. Brett, be safe out there. For Brett, I'm Ariel, Corporate Jake as well. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the fights on Saturday, and we will talk to you after them.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.